Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ideas for Divas videocast. So today I'm going to interview my friend Bárbara. So we met when we were doing our MBA at the University of Michigan a few years ago. So I'm glad to have her here today. So Babi, why don't you introduce yourself and say why you are a diva?
Okay, well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. Hey, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. To everyone else who haven't met me yet, my name is Bárbara. As Renata said, have known her for a while. We went to school together. I am currently the CMO for Wallbox Chargers, which is a company that is developing, designing, and manufacturing intelligent chargers for EVs, and just really helping accelerate that transition from highly contaminating fleet to a more eco-friendly mode of transportation. And I would say the part of Diva that I think that I relate to more is, or the most, is the authenticity. I was born and raised in Brazil. I've been living abroad for a really long time, but I've never lost that connection with my roots. And I think just, throughout my journey, just really trying to learn new things, stay true to who I am, stay true to to where I come from, but also just take every opportunity to learn, to grow, and to be doing things that I enjoy and that I believe in. And I think that's how I would define it.
Yeah, that's good. So just so everybody knows, I'm in the Bay Area and Barbara is in Barcelona right now. So it's very long distance video that we are doing today. Okay, so today we are going to talk about managing teams remotely. So I'd really like to know how you are keeping your team motivated and engaged during this time.
I think this is a very good question, because anyone managing a team that has been working, that had previously been working together in one place, and then since quarantine started all over the world, have been working remotely. It's definitely an adjustment. Not the working remotely part per se, but just the team dynamics of not having the in-person meetings. And I think that for me, it has been a combination of creating a very structured routine for the team, so that we had a cadence of meetings and engagements and organizing work a certain way. And I'm going to give a little more detail about that in a second. Mm-hmm. But the other part is just really having really candid, direct conversations about how things are evolving, right? And I mean that in the sense of businesses have been impacted at different levels, and that impact sometimes can be direct to the company, sometimes it can be indirect, and obviously people are watching the news, they know what's going on. And I think at the end of the day, everybody's also worried about how that could potentially impact their jobs, their work, their lives, right? So I think it has been a combination of both. And in our case here in Spain, as you know, we've been severely hit by the pandemic. So the first part for me was, since we decided to do the remote work, just maintaining the routines that we already had, my weekly meetings, my one-on-ones with my team, as we had before, but doing an extra layer of at least one more touch base with the team during the week, just to specifically talk about the projects that we're working on. So when we first went into lockdown, the management of the company decided on a number of projects that we would be prioritizing at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. Just based on what made sense for the business, responding to the markets that would be open or would be closed. So I cascaded down that plan to my team in the shape of projects and how we would be going about that. There were activities in my team that we were planning on doing that we had to stop, and then there were things that we didn't have in consideration or for the plan for the next few months, and that we had to take on. So for instance, events was a large part of our strategy, mm-hmm. and we had to cancel all the events that we were participating in. But then on the other hand, we had a need for a bigger push on digital. And mm-hmm. so instead of events in person, we started spearheading initiatives for webinars or digital campaigns that would help us promote products that we would otherwise have done through events. So just really breaking down those projects and setting that foundation for the team was number one. Number two, creating checkpoints throughout the week, because we didn't have that chance of just, walking into each other and talking about the projects. So creating an additional layer of touching base and see how things were going and what blocks needed to be removed for them to get things done. And then on the second part, as I said, like our industry has been impacted at different levels depending on the country. We operate in a number of countries. And from day one, again, the management of the company and especially our CEO has been taking a very transparent approach, and we're just constantly cascading that down to the team, having all hands remotely, having very candid conversations about what to expect if, we have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and we've made all the team members of the company aware of what those plans are, and just really sharing information with them so they know what's coming and how we're going to be making decisions. And the result, to be honest, is, all things considered, I wouldn't say by any means this is ideal circumstances, and no one would want to be in this situation if we were given a choice. But given things as they are, I think it's been pretty effective. I mean, the team's been able to advance and spearhead new ideas and bring them to life with a speed that I don't think we would have been able to do that if we didn't have all this focus and centered around these very specific purposes.
Yeah, so you mentioned about like agility, right, on execution, and that's something that I have been seeing in my job too, that people seem to be more creative and they really want to push innovation. Is this something that you have been seeing in your industry?
Yes, that's so interesting. I'm glad to hear that you're seeing that in your work as well, because I think it's absolutely, like, we have been ideas that I would say that would normally take a lot longer to consider, evaluate, decide on, and then put into motion are just going a lot faster. And this is coming from our company is relatively small and we're a startup, so obviously you would already expect a faster pace than big companies. And even for us, I can see that, like we've gone from zero, from like literally having an idea and executing on it and starting to bring it to life in some cases 1 week, and in some cases even less, depending on what the task was. But yes, definitely, we're going to organize our first webinar to launch a product this week. This is a project that I've spearheaded nearly 5 days ago, and it's going to be 8 days since the idea came up and the execution of the first one, and we're already working on the subsequent ones. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that, which I'd say it's the silver lining of this.
Yeah, and I work in a big organization, so things are usually slow, and I can see that there is more speed and people are actually more open to discuss new ideas. So it's great to know that it's everybody doing the same, especially startups that are more agile, just because they are.
I think we have to be, because otherwise we're going to be just spending time and money in the wrong projects. Like, with things the way they are, we absolutely have to be reevaluating. We as the management team get together once or twice a week at least, just to talk about the circumstances that we're in and reevaluate and see how that affects our business plans. And we're literally making decisions on the spot based on updated information, as far as investments, as far as impact to jobs, to manufacturing, like you name it. Like, things have been very dynamic and very fluid.
Yeah. So you were talking about like creativity, innovation. You also mentioned like more transparency and communication, so everybody understands what's going on. So what are these new dynamics that you put in place right now, or you and your company or leadership put in place right now, that you think should stay, right? When life, let's say, goes back to normal. I don't know if there's a normal that we're going back to, but at least when we go back to the office, like things that you think should be there.
Okay. I think for us, for our organization, the first one will be making working from home something just more standard. not all Spanish companies are as ahead of the curve as maybe American companies are. And when it comes to adopting, well, actually, I don't want to make a generalization. I don't know that this is necessarily something that is a Spanish thing, but not every company have the same perception towards working from home. And I think one thing we've learned is it's definitely possible to be productive, focused, and deliver, even if we're working remotely. So I think this is something that is going to be more institutionalized after we go back to the office. And if people need to or want to work from home, that will definitely be seen as something that is okay to do, which that's like the very easy one, right? I am particularly enjoying the closeness that our management team has been able to keep, and just having very clear what are the key dynamics that we're observing as we make decisions. And I think this is something we should retain. You know, at the end of the day, it will really come down to a few things that are going to be driving your business. And it's so easy to find a number of things to look into, right? Or create a way more priorities than anyone can actually actively manage. And this laser focus that we had been having since all this started, and I'd say kudos to my boss for being really good at making that a priority for us and just really laser focusing on those things. You know, whenever this is over, like, what we should be able to recognize what are going to be the forces driving the business going forward, and continue to focus on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for being here in the Ideas for Divas videocast. It was great talking to you, and good luck with all the changes. And I hope that Spain gets into a better place soon.
I hope so too. Thank you. Hey, thanks so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Okay.